Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in previous episode, we have discussed how we can set up a production grade CI pipeline where we have published all the reports as a dashboard using GitHub Pages, and also we have pushed our application image to Azure Container Registries. So in this episode, we are going to deploy that container image or Docker image on Azure Kubernetes services using OIDC tokens. So for a quick recap, this is what we have developed as part of episode 4. So we have developed this dashboard which provide us a complete visibility of our application health. So now let's move to this episode where we are going to focus on deployment. So let me quickly create a Kubernetes services because I already have a container registry. So let me create a Kubernetes services. So Kubernetes services will take at least 5 to 10 minutes to create. In meantime, what we will do, we will understand the pipeline file. So I'm going to keep most of the things default. So here I will just change the node pool size because we don't need 2 to 5 nodes because this is a very simple application. So let me change this value and let me change the size as well because we don't need this much size of virtual machine. Okay, so one more thing, let me change the region here. Instead of central India, let me select for example, let's go with East US and let me change this value here. So I need minimum node count 1 and maximum is 2. That is sufficient for this demo. And I will change the size as well. So I will go with D series version 4. So here let me go with D2S V4 because I can see in the cost wise this is all very less. Okay, so let me update this configuration and rest all the fields I will keep it default. And one more thing, what we will do, we will integrate this Azure Kubernetes services with Azure Container Registries because we want to pull the image from the ACR. If you have not integrated during the creation of AKS, then you can also integrate after creation of cluster as well. So I will uncheck this monitoring because it will take time to create Kubernetes cluster. Rest all the fields I will leave it default. So once the validation is passed, we will go ahead and create the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, let me hit on create. So this is going to take at least 5 to 10 minutes to create this cluster. Meantime, let me open my Visual Studio Code. And till here we have already discussed in previous episode, like we have built our Docker image and we have used a commit ID as a unique tag as well, and we have pushed on Azure Container Registry. So now this is the deployment part, deploy AKS. So again, this is the job name. You can give any name. Like for example, I have given deploy AKS. You can give deploy AKS, demo, test, whatever you want. And again, we need a virtual machine or agent or runner to run these jobs. That's why we have specified here Ubuntu latest as a runner. Then this job is required to previous job to be succeeded. So once our previous job, which is build and push, is completed successfully, then this job will be triggered. That's why we have used here needs. And this is very important part when you are going to use OIDC. So let me show you a quick recap on Azure portal. So if I will go to my container intra ID, and app registration, let me go to all registration. So certificate and secrets. So federated credentials. This is what we have created here. So using this, our application, our workflow is going to generate a GitHub token, and for that token we need some kind of permissions. So that's what, if I will go back to my BS code, so that's what these permissions are required. So every workflow generate a temporary token which we call the GitHub tokens. So this is the first what that token can do. So we want to give a permission, write permission to the OIDC token, and this is the content read. Basically this is the permission we are going to read our repositories, because we are going to check out our repo. So this permission block is very important if you are going to use OIDC, because GitHub tokens needs permission to deploy your application, to authenticate your applications, because this is a short-lived token. This is not a long-lived password and all. Okay, so now in next steps we are going to check out our application code. Now why do we need application source code again? Because we have our Kubernetes manifest file as part of our repositories. I'll come to these manifest file little later, but we need these manifest file on this agent. That's why we are going to run, or we are going to check out our application code on this particular runner. And now we are going to use log in Azure. We are basically going to authenticate using OIDCs. So if you will not specify these permissions here, then this block will no longer work, because here we are not passing any client secrets. So these, for authentication, we need this GitHub token permissions as well. So this is the again action which we are going to use, Azure login, and this is the client ID, tenant ID and subscription ID. These variables we have created in repositories under secrets. So if I will go back to my repository settings, and if I will go to secrets actions, so here we have defined all the variables and we have saved the values as well. Now let me go back to my VS Code. So this part is required for authentication using OIDC token, right? Okay, now next thing, we need to download a Kubernetes cluster credentials. So it will set a context, basically what cluster it needs to connect and what all the permissions it's required. So basically from here we are going to download a cluster credentials so we can run our kubectl commands. So for that we are using AKS get credentials, and this is the resource group. Again, these secrets we have defined in repository settings, name of our AKS clusters, and we are going to here overwrite existing in case if any previous, basically suppose if we have used suppose this is the hosted runner, but if we are using a self-hosted machines and maybe we have previously downloaded AKS credentials for different clusters, in that case that will not work. So we are going to overwrite the existing credentials config files, and here we are going to create a image tag. So again, this ACR name which we have passed as a variable on repository settings, so this is the image variable under which we are going to store this value. So the complete URL will be ACR name dot URL, your repository name and your tag name. Okay, so this we are going to store as a variable here. And now this is the very important file, important line. So here basically we are not hard coding our image name in our deployment.yaml file, because here we are using unique commit ID. You can say github.sha. So this is the hash, or we can say unique ID, which we are going to generate on each and every push. So that's why we need this value during a runtime. So what we are going to do, so when we trigger this pipeline, that time we are going to replace the image name with tag on deployment.yaml file. So let me explain this particular line here. So very first thing you will see here, set. So this is called a stream editor, which basically used to modify your files, and we are going to use here -i. So -i we use to edit our file directly. And this is the image underscore placeholder. So this is the variable which we have defined in deployment.yaml file. So this is going to look for this particular placeholder or this particular variable. It could be any name. So on deployment.yaml file, wherever you have defined this image underscore placeholder, that is going to replace with this variable dollar image, because here we have saved the complete URL of our Azure Container Registries with repositories and tags. So everything is going to replace here, and here you can see G option after pipe. So G is basically, it's a global. So replace all the occurrence which is going to occur in this deployment.yaml file. Suppose you have this placeholder, for example, 4 places. Then if you are using pipe after pipe G, then it is going to replace all 4 places. So that's why we are using here G. And as, I forget one thing here, this is called a substitute, or basically we can say for replace this or replace. So now this is the command which is going to perform these actions. Now next part, we are going to run these manifest files. So you can see we have defined a path here, K8s, because under K8s we have both our manifest file, deployment.yaml file and service.yaml file. After deployment, we are going to verify the rollouts, and we are also going to check external IP. So basically we are going to use here load balancer services. So we need to know what is the public IP address of my load balancer service. So using that IP address, we can access our applications. So for that, we are using for loop. Why? So once we will get our public IP address, then it will break this loop and it will exit from the pipeline. Otherwise, if we will not specify loop, if we will simply run a command called kubectl get services -watch, then it will go in infinity loops and our pipeline will not be finished. So that's why we are using here for loop. Once it will get a external IP address, it is going to break the pipeline and it is going to mark the pipeline as a succeed. Now let me go to deployment.yaml file. So here again, it's a very simple file. I am not using any probes here, liveness or readiness probes, anything. So this is a very simple one. So here we have specified the API version, which is mandatory for deployment kind deployment, because we are going to generate a deployment. This is the name of this deployment, which is FastAPI-app, and we have specified 2 replicas under a specification, because we want 2 application pod of our, or 2 instance of our applications. That's why we have defined it 2 replica sets. And we are using here selectors, because on service.yaml file we need to define where our load balancer service should redirect to traffic. As we know, whenever the pod got restarted, it always changed their IP address. So it is not feasible to use IP address. That's why we use selectors and labels. So we can, based on the selectors and labels, we basically redirect our traffic from services of front end to back end. And this is the container part. So here you can see our application is internally is going to run on 8000 port, and this is the placeholder. So the set command which we have seen in previous slides, so that command is basically going to replace this placeholders, and we have only single placeholder here. Now let me go back to my service.yaml file. So again, this is the default which we have to define for any service or any services which we are going to create. So this is the name of our service which is going to create FastAPI -services. Now here you can see again under specification we have labels and selectors. So it is going to look for this app. You can see app FastAPI app, and same we have defined here match label. So if these both values should be same, otherwise it will not route your traffic. And here we have used load balancer services, and the target port is 8000, because 8000 port is the one where on which our application is going to run internally, and on port 80 we are going to access our application from the local browser. So this is again a very simple service.yaml file which I have used here. Okay, so this part is completed. Now let me check if my Kubernetes cluster is ready or not. So let me go to here notifications. Okay, so deployment is succeeded. Now what we need to do, we need to give a permission on AKS cluster in a similar way which we have given permission to our client or to app registration to ACR. In similar way, we need to assign permission to this AKS cluster as well. So for that, again, I will go to IAM control, and here I will add a role assignment. Here I will go and choose contributor permissions. It is not mandatory, or always use a least privilege principles, but this is a simple demonstration, that's why I'm using to use contributor permission. And here I will use my service principal, which is GitHub-ACR. So this is the service principal which we have created, and the same service principal has a ACR push permission on Azure Container Registries, and on AKS we have assigned the role of contributor here. So let me hit review and assign. Okay, so this is completed. Now let me go and trigger our workflow. I will go to FastAPI. I would suggest, if you have not watched previous episode 4, please go and watch it first. Then you will get a complete visibility of CI and CD both. So this is going to take a couple of minutes. Okay, so test stage is completed. It published the artifact. So artifact is nothing, we are publishing our reports which we are going to use for dashboards. So let me do one thing, let me pause the videos because we have already seen in episode 4 till build and push. So unnecessary, this video length will be long. So I will resume video back once we will reach to deploy-AKS stage or job. Okay, so our deploy AKS job has been started. You can see if I will go here, okay, yeah, so here you can see Azure CLI login succeeded by using OIDC, attempting Azure CLI login by using OIDC. So the benefit of using OIDC is you are not going to store any kind of secrets on your repositories or in environment variables or secrets. So OIDC tokens are the short-lived tokens. They generally use only for the authentication purpose. That's why they are short-lived. Okay, so deploy AKS job is also completed. Now let me check the IP address. So this is the external IP address which we are going to use to access our application. Okay, so it means our application has been deployed successfully. Let me go and simply log in this. So you can see, let me close this. So we are simply, we are just logged into this FastAPI, this simple dashboard where we are going to add users. For example, demo, let me give a name, demo@gmail.com. So this is very simple for demonstration purpose, and we can simply delete the users as well, and we can simply log out. So this is a simple FastAPI dashboard which we have used for these demonstrations. But in real time, definitely we will have large complex applications. So I hope it is clear how we can set up a complete CI/CD pipeline using GitHub Action workflow. So that's all for today. In case if you have any doubts, definitely ping me on a comment box. I will reach out as soon as possible. And I will also keep a repository link under description. So if you want to go and hands-on from your own, you can do that. See you in next video. Thank you so much.